Hello, today is Monday, January 13th, 2020. I'm Joe Schmidt from TC2, and this is Staying Connected. This is the final installment of our three-part series on negotiating an enterprise agreement with Microsoft. I'm again joined by Marc, Lindsey, a partner at LB3, and we're going to wrap up our discussion by looking at if this new contract structure benefits the enterprise, and if not, what steps you can take to ease some of your contracting pain. So, Marc, presumably the new contract structure with Microsoft was meant to simplify contracting with Microsoft. Is that right?
That is definitely part of the salesmanship on Microsoft's new streamlined, simplified approach. But in reality, what's happening is that Microsoft is very reluctant to make any material changes to their contract documents. Historically, many of our enterprise clients were able to effectively have customized MBSAs or select plus agreements. But now Microsoft is very reluctant to engage in meaningful customized negotiations. In fact, they're trying to force many customers who have even a reasonably current version of the MBSA that had been customized to negotiate to meet the customer's needs, the enterprise's needs. At any opportunity they can, Microsoft is seeking to have those customers abandon those customized MBSA and start fresh, have to negotiate all over again. But let me talk through some of the things in the MBSA that are particularly problematic. Now, some of these existed in the legacy form, but these are problematic terms that Microsoft now says that, they're very reluctant to change because their argument will be that we apply them across all the enterprise customers consistently, and we think that allows for us to have an efficient administration of our contract, even if it adversely affects the rights of the customer. Several examples. Microsoft does reserve the right to change all the online services. There's no fundamental commitment within the default contract documents that says that the online service features, functions, and bundles that you're subscribing to or committing to in the 3-year EA bundle, there's no commitment on Microsoft's part that those will remain intact or that you'll be able to get a refund or reduction if they don't. Microsoft does have a product roadmap, and that roadmap is kind of telling you what they will do. It's not preventing them from doing something. So it's perfectly within Microsoft's contract rights to remove a key feature set or function that might be a part of your EA bundle and force you to move on to something else. So there's no stability in what the bundle of online services and subscription services and software you might be getting when you commit to an EA. There's also some fairly narrowing definitions of affiliates. Many of our clients are actively involved in mergers and acquisitions, and you can negotiate these things with them, but Microsoft has a very narrowing definition of affiliates. And the reason why that matters is because by default, Microsoft doesn't allow for future affiliates that come into an organization to participate in the EA. You need to check that box and make sure that future affiliates can get access to the EA, but it's not guaranteed, so you need to get the definition right. Microsoft also asks for the customers to indemnify Microsoft for third-party infringement claims that attach to their use of Microsoft's product and services. There's no way most enterprises should be stepping into a patent dispute between Microsoft and other technology providers, but Microsoft thinks that that's an appropriate thing to do. They put these ridiculously low limits of liability. Although online services is where they want to push their customers, they cap their liability for anything that goes wrong in their online services to 12 months of fees. And that cap, by the way, would apply to data breaches, data loss events attributed to Microsoft's bad conduct or failure to observe its own security controls. So that's a very low cap in this space and pushes a lot of the risk onto the customer when Microsoft does something wrong. As I mentioned, they have very aggressive audit rights. So by way of example, historically, Microsoft said, if we do an audit, you're out of compliance, then you owe us the quantity times the price for the things you didn't already pay us for. So you get the benefit of your negotiated price, and you just pay the delta of what you should have paid based on your negotiated price. Now, what Microsoft does is if you're out of compliance, they will effectively charge you a surcharge that is 115% of the list price of the license that's out of compliance, not even your negotiated price. So that might be upwards of 200, and 150% unit price of which you've negotiated is a penalty, and you've got to pick up their audit costs. Now, this is all in the context of an EA where you're supposed to each year submit a true-up report that says, here's my usage, and by the way, here's my check for where I've underreported. So it's an honor system, but this audit right jumps in and allows Microsoft to extract extra value if you happen to be out of compliance. At the end of the EA enrollments, Microsoft doesn't give the customer the right to renew. You can't say, hey, I want an optional 1-year, 2-year renewal of my EA. At the end of your 3-year EA, it's done, and Microsoft has no obligation to honor any of the negotiated terms or pricing for that EA after the end of the renewal. So I mentioned you're committed to pay the EA price, even though Microsoft may change the bundle, but there's no relief for the customer if something goes wrong. By default, there's no price reduction, commitment reduction, preservation of unit pricing if you, as the customer, happen to terminate because Microsoft failed to continually deliver a set of features and functions. So think about your EA commitment in terms of the actual dollars you pay over the 3 years plus a unit discount. You can always true up, and in order to true down below your commitment, you have to have a negotiation with Microsoft. And if you negotiate with Microsoft, what they'll say is, maybe we'll have a conversation with you about reducing the quantities that are in your EA. But what's going to happen now is you're going to have to qualify for a lesser discount. So your unit prices are going to go up. So, and one last thing I'll mention, there's quite a few things here, as you can tell, that sort of annoy me about the current approach. But one of the things is that many companies are involved in acquisitions and divestitures. And you would think that if a company splits, there are, 5 affiliates that are part of the corporate bundle that are buying under the EA. 1 or 2 of those leave. Microsoft knows that those companies that are leaving are more likely than not going to have to pick up some form of license agreement with Microsoft. But they will not let the original customer, who's now got 2x more volume in their enterprise agreement they're paying for than they need. You don't get a right to reduce your EA if a company has spun out. Microsoft will give you a right to talk with them about what happens if there's any kind of divestiture that results in a consumption reduction, but you don't actually get the benefit of writing down your EA commitment, even if the company who spun out continues to use the Microsoft product the same volume they were before the spin out.
So I sort of expected that this wasn't all easy peasy for the enterprise. So what can companies do about these things that you just described?
One of the key things is that many customers are existing volume licensing customers of some sort or another Microsoft. But one of the keys to success is to take control of the negotiation earlier in the process than you think you need to. If your existing volume licensing enterprise agreement is going to expire within 12 to 9 months, you should already start the negotiation with Microsoft. Microsoft will hold back its renewal pricing book until the very possible last minute to not give you enough time to actually effectively negotiate. So 9 months in, 12 months in, you should have prepared your 3-year spend forecast. Because again, remember the EA renewals are all based on 3 years. You don't get a 1-year renewal. You have to renew for 3 more years. So get your 3-year forecast for what you anticipate spending with Microsoft in terms of licensing consumption. Get that ready to go no later than 9 months prior to your renewal. And prepare your own deal sheet. You don't necessarily have to say in your deal sheet what you expect your unit pricing to be. It's okay to let Microsoft be the first serve back on the pricing point, but having your forecast together, identifying what fundamental T's and C's either you think need to be changed or preserved. As I mentioned, Microsoft will take an opportunity for a renewal to have customers abandon their customized existing MBSA or enterprise agreements. Make that a key deal feature that 9 months in, you have a term sheet that here's my forecast. Here are the key terms and conditions that I insist being in my renewal, and start that negotiation immediately. And once you get your deal sheet sent over, you need to take control both from a legal and a commercial perspective on the cadence of negotiations. Microsoft loves to wait till the last minute to put a pinch on their customers. And in the past, customers have been lulled to believe that there's no way Microsoft will cut me off from a subscription or online service if my existing enterprise agreement goes past its due date. That is no longer the case. They will most certainly use an expiration of the existing contract documents as their own leverage, even if their slowness to respond is the reason why the term is at risk. So take control of the cadence of negotiation. You absolutely can negotiate customized T's and C's. You can't do a deep dive. That'll be just a frustration for all. But identifying where the key terms and conditions are in this stack that you want to address and how you want to address them, certainly reasonable expectation for large enterprises to engage in. So proactively go after the term sheet, set the cadence for negotiation, and set the cadence and take control of the negotiating of the actual documents and preparing the actual markups of the documents are some success factors to keep in mind.
All right, great stuff. Thanks, Marc, for providing some really great information on contracting with Microsoft. Now, Marc's really just scratched the surface on the intricacies and opportunities of doing a deal with Microsoft. So if you would like to learn more, or if you do have other ICT lifecycle questions, you can contact Marc, me, or any of our LB3 and TC2 colleagues by giving us a call or sending us an email. You can also stay current by subscribing to Staying Connected, take a look at our new websites, or follow us on LinkedIn.